Hello and welcome to Archdiocesanology. I am your host, Kevin Feyen, Director of Adolescent and Young Adult Faith Formation for the Archdiocese of Dubuque. In today's lesson, we thought it would be worthwhile to spend some time talking about what the overall task of a faith formation leader is in the Archdiocese. If you haven't noticed already, we're starting to use this phrase, faith formation leader, to be inclusive of everybody who does systematic faith formation at the parish level. Whether you're a coordinator or a director of religious education, or a coordinator, youth ministry, or a volunteer in charge of either of those programs, if you are the parish person responsible for faith formation to a specific audience or demographic in your parish, we're talking about you. Congratulations, you're a faith formation leader. Now, what does that mean? What should you be a part? What should you be about as a faith formation leader? Well, we wanted to make it quite clear to you that the ultimate end product of faith formation in the Archdiocese is a life of discipleship. Our role is rather simple. We are to find and inspire, we are to form, and we are to sustain disciples on their journey. It's a pretty simple task when you think about it, but once you start exploring some of the murkiness of it, it becomes a little bit ambiguous at times. So hopefully today we'll give you a little bit of information about how to help understand your role and make more sense of the programs you provide for the young people and the older people in your parishes. A document I'd like to bring your attention to is the General Directory for Catechesis. This document comes out of the Vatican and is the instruction manual on how to do faith formation across the globe. It's a pretty simple piece. Now, one of the pages in here, chapter 46, says something very important about a word called evangelization. It says the church exists in order to evangelize. The whole reason that we exist as parish, the reason that you're hired, is about something called evangelization. Now, that word itself is pretty scary, right? But when we look at evangelization, all we mean is the formation of disciples. Evangelization breaks itself into three moments of evangelization. We start at the beginning. The foundation level is one called missionary activity. Missionary activity is the work of the church that serves people, that invests into them, that invites them into trusting and deepening relationships with the church community. So as a faith formation leader, your job is to be working with those people you serve to build relationships with them. It's fairly simple, isn't it? And the odds are that someone in your life worked to establish a strong relationship with you, and that's one of the reasons why you're still a Catholic today, is because you found yourself to be nurtured and supported in a trusting community. Missionary activity is outreach, it's hospitable, it's loving, and it's supportive. Missionary activity is the foundation of what happens in the process of evangelization. That's the first step. After people feel loved and respected, we move to the next step, the next moment of evangelization. This middle moment is called initial catechesis. Now, initial catechesis is kind of what it sounds like. It's preparatory. We are preparing people with catechesis. Now, catechesis is not simply just reading out of a book. Of course, you know that catechesis involves everything it is to be a Catholic. In fact, it's initial catechesis because we do expect that for the rest of these people's lives, they're going to need more sustainment. When we talk about catechesis and what most programs that we look at in the Diocese of catechetical programs, we're talking about giving people stuff they need. Again, we're preparing them for a life of discipleship. Pretty magical. And the final stage, the final moment of evangelization is one called pastoral activity. Pastoral activity is when you have people who are loved and welcomed. You have people who have skills and values and knowledge of our faith, but what they need is something to come home to. What they need is a community for support. Jesus sends 2 by 2. It's not coincidental. Each of those people need each other for that pastoral activity to take care of themselves on their life of discipleship. And when you look at these three, that's a great way to understand them is the Sunday liturgy. Now the Mass, watch this. We bring him there, he feels loved and welcomed. We sit through the readings where God speaks to us in his word. Through the first reading, the psalm, the second reading in the gospel, and the homily are all opportunities for us to take and learn about this tradition of our church. And finally, it's the sustainment, right? It's the pastoral activity of the Mass that sustains us in the Eucharist. So the liturgy is really the source and the summit of our entire Catholic faith.